Hello learners, I welcome you back to this course of Environmental Economics. In the previous lectures, we have been discussing the nature, scope, significance, subject matter of environmental economics. We also understood the material balance model, which talks about that if we get the environment into the circular flow model, by knowing the transaction between household sector, firms and the nature, we can avoid an environmental crisis. Going on the same concept, today we will be starting with environmental Kuznets curve. I am Dr. Aparna Samudra from the Department of Economics, RTM Nagpur University, and we will be discussing today this concept of environmental Kuznets curve. Before going into the lecture, let us just have a look at what are the learning objectives of today's lecture. We will be today talking about the concept of environmental Kuznets curve. Thereafter, we will also discuss that what are the possible explanations of environmental Kuznets curve, and then we will also discuss the criticisms on environmental Kuznets curve. In the previous lecture, we have talked about the relationship between economic growth and environment quality. And we have also seen that this concept of environmental economics has gained a lot of attention, particularly after 1960s, when the world started recognizing the degradation of the environment in the pursuit of faster economic growth. Simon Kuznets in 1955 hypothesized that there is an inverted U-shaped relationship between inequality and economic development. He was trying to understand that how when an economy progresses or when its GDP increases, what happens to the income distribution in the economy. And he found out that there is an inverted U hypothesis or inverted U relationship between inequality and economic development. This particular concept of inverted U hypothesis was further studied by Gene Grossman and Alan Kruger, where they tried to introduce the environmental degradation and economic development's relationship. And when they did this research, they also found a similar inverted U relationship between environmental degradation and economic development. This relationship between environmental quality and economic development is explained by what is called as environmental Kuznets curve. Now let us see what does it suggest. The environmental Kuznets curve suggests that economic development initially leads to a deterioration in the environment, but after a certain level of economic growth is achieved, the society begins to improve its relationship with the environment and the levels of environmental degradation reduces. That is, initially when the economy starts growing or when it starts developing, there is a very fast deterioration in the environment. After a certain level of economic growth is achieved, that is, there comes a turning point. And after this turning point, as the economic development takes place, the societies start recognizing the importance of environment and the level of environmental degradation reduces. It is this hypothesis that there is an inverted U-shaped relationship between economic development, which is generally measured by per capita income of a country, and environment degradation, which we call as environment Kuznets hypothesis or EKC. So, because we see initially with increase in per capita GDP, environmental degradation taking place faster. And then after a point, with increase in GDP, this environmental degradation slows down, or environmental improvement starts. Therefore, when we plot it on a graph, we get a curve which is like an inverted U. So, it is also called as inverted U-shaped environmental Kuznets curve. Now, again I am repeating that this environmental Kuznets curve states that environmental degradation is low when the economic development is low. That those countries which are lesser developed, they have lower economic development, their environmental degradation initially is very low. This degradation increases in the early phase of economic development, that is, as the country or the economy starts growing its GDP, the environmental degradation starts happening. It comes to a turning point, and then at a later stage of development, we do not see this particular environmental degradation happening. That means, in the initial stages of development, environmental degradation increases but eventually declines at a certain threshold level of income. Okay, so this particular graph is a graphical representation of your environmental Kuznets curve. As you can see, on the y-axis, we have taken the level of environmental degradation. On the x-axis, we are measuring GDP per capita, which is measuring economic growth. What do we see? That initially, when the level of development of the country is low, there is low level of environmental degradation. These economies are generally the pre-industrial economies, where initially with low level of development, the environmental degradation is low, but as the economy starts progressing or it starts becoming an industrialized economy, we see this level of degradation rising. It keeps on rising, and then there comes a turning point. Turning point means that the second level stage where the economies are becoming industrial economies. Here also degradation is there. Environmental degradation, however, is increasing at a lower rate compared to the rate at which it was increasing in the pre-industrial stage. As and as further we see this growth in GDP, per capita GDP, we see a structural change in the economy happening. So, the economy which was essentially dependent more on industrial in the second stage, in the third stage it starts becoming a service-based economy. And in this post-industrialization service-based economy, even though the per capita is increasing, but we see that the environmental degradation is falling. This inverted U, as we just said, is called as environmental Kuznets curve. Now, what are the reasons that this kind of relationship we find between level of environmental degradation and the level of economic growth? So, let us have a look first at those factors which lead to increase in environment degradation. That is, the curve is rising. The first is the heavy emphasis on economic growth. When the particular economy is transiting from an agricultural based agrarian economy to an industrial economy, there is a very heavy emphasis on industrial development. The focus is more on economic growth and capital formation because this particular economy intends to boost production as well as consumption. For example, if we take the case of India, the first 5-year plan that we had, which was based on Mahanabu's strategy, it talked about India should now invest more and more in capital formation because we wanted to boost our production as well as consumption. So being in this stage of development, when we want to have a structural shift from an agriculture dominated economy to an industrial economy, the focus is more on economic growth and capital formation, and at that time the environmental protection takes a backseat. Hence we see an increase in environmental degradation. The second factor which leads to increase in environmental degradation is the neglect in the environmental matters. In the initial pre-industrial era, or when the economy is dominated by agricultural livelihoods, there are a lot of cases where there are very high levels of poverty. The high levels of poverty lead to prioritization of economic growth over environmental protection, because it is believed that it is more important to pull people out of poverty rather than protecting the environment. Hence, the priority is more towards capital formation, priority is more towards economic growth, priority is more towards use of natural resources so as to increase the per capita income of that nation. The second reason for the neglect of environmental matters is also the lack of awareness about the environmental issues amongst population. This also happens because these pre-industrial economies also have a lower level of education. Because the literacy rates are low, people are not very much concerned about the environmental issues. The third reason for the neglect of environmental matters is the income inequality, which leads to environmental disparities. We see a lot of gap between haves and have-nots. What happens in income inequality is very few people have a very high large level of income, whereas most of the population has a very low level of income. So people who are living a subsistence lifestyle, for them it is more important to take care of their daily necessities. That may be at the cost of deforestation, that may be at the cost of unsustainable agricultural practices, but that leads to environmental degradation also. Also, people in the higher income group, because they have a lot of income, they have a greater spending capacity. So, the propensity to consume changes. They are willing to spend more and more on the luxury goods without considering what impact their consumption practices has on the environment. And one more reason for the neglect of environmental matters is the absence of community level institutions. For example, today we see a lot of cooperatives, we see self-help groups, we see community fishing, for example, at a large scale. When the country is in a pre-industrial stage, we see absence of such kind of community level institutions, which leads to over-exploitation of the natural resources. So these factors lead to increase in environmental degradation as the per capita income of the people starts increasing in these economies. Then let us now see what are the factors which lead to decrease in the environmental degradation. The first is the technological change and resource efficiency. As we see the case, as technology improves, so does the resource efficiency. With the same amount of inputs, with better technology, one can produce higher level of output. So this resource efficiency leads to less use of raw material which we extract from the nature. Also, better technology encourages material recycling, which reduces pressures on the environment. So better technology is bringing resource efficiency, and in turn we need less resources to produce or more level of output, and also sustainable production practices are adopted like recycling of the materials. Another reason which leads to decrease in environment degradation are the institutional factors and education. As we just saw in the previous slide, that lack of education or low level of education leads people to exploit their natural resources more. On the other hand, increase in education and awareness about environmental issues makes people conscious about how they are using the resources which have been given to them by the nature. So, therefore, they are more environment conscious in their production as well as consumption. Similarly, for the governments also, the focus changes from only economic growth to environmental protection. So, there may be a case where environmental regulation were always in practice, but in this stage, the cognizance has been taken by the regulators that these have to be better implemented. So, the better implementation of environment regulation leads to a fall in the environment degradation. Also, consumer preferences. People, as their income increases, people value environment more than their consumption. So, their preference for consuming cleaner environment is more. Also, in the countries when they become industrial or when they become service sector industries, the income level of the people also increases. So, they have a better paying capacity. So, if for a cleaner environment product, they have to pay something extra, they do not mind doing that. Therefore, preference for consuming a cleaner environment leads to a decrease in environment degradation. Why? Because one, we become aware, and second, we get a greater ability to pay to protect and preserve the environment. For example, these days we see a lot of food products which are organic in nature. So we are willing to pay a little more for that organic, maybe a cereal, because we know it is one, not harming the environment. It does not contain certain fertilizers and chemicals, and it has a positive impact on the human health. So, because of the changing consumer preferences, the decrease in environmental degradation takes place. Now, further, let us go to some more technical explanation of EKC. First, as we just explained, but now we'll explain further, is the income elasticity of demand. As we just saw in the diagram, inverted U environmental Kuznets curve, showing that when the per capita income of the people increases, the level of environmental degradation reduces. This means as income of the people rises, people prioritize better quality of life, higher standards of living, and are more concerned with the environment, which leads them to increase demand for environmental improvement. These high income individuals not only spend more on green products, but they also advocate for environmental regulations and institutional reforms. So it is not only a micro aspect which is leading to decrease in environmental degradation, but through them we also see a macro policy change where environmental regulations are adopted and implemented for environmental improvement. The OEC data on public R&D expenditure focusing on green products is supporting this trend. The second reason or explanation for the shape of EKC is scale, technology, composition effect. So, three things are working here. One is the scale, second is the technology, and third is the composition. Now, let us understand what do we mean by all the three. Scale effect arises from increased production. That is, when the level of production increases, the size of the company increases or the scale of operation increases. With increase in the scale of operation, there is increased production which requires more resources, which leads to higher waste and emissions, degrading the environment. So, all of us agree, when the size of the industry increases, size of the manufacturing capability increases, more resources are required, more waste is generated, more emissions take place, which degrades the environment. It converse to scale effect is the composition effect. This effect occurs as income rises. It shifts the economy to cleaner activities. We have just seen in the previous slide that how income elasticity plays a role in improving the quality of environment. So, when the income is rising, there is a shift of the economy from cleaner activities, and this reduces environmental degradation. Also, as technology improves or technology progresses, it facilitates replacing dirty technologies with clean ones. EKC suggests while scale effect initially dominates, that is initially it is higher production leads to degradation of environment, but together the composition and the technological effect mitigate this environmental degradation as income rises. So, composition and technological effect become greater. The positive inputs or positive impact of composition and technological effects are greater than the negative effects caused by the scale of operation. Next explanation to this EKC is the technological progress. We have already seen in the slide also. That is, technological advancements not only lead to greater efficiency in the use of energy and material, but also leads to reuse and recycling practices. If you remember the previous lecture, we had talked about the material balance model, wherein we have said that whatever we take from nature, it goes back to the nature in form of waste. But this waste, some part of it, if it can be reused, recycled and goes back to the factor market, and the firms again use them to produce something, we reduce the entropy in the system. So, the technological progress or the technological advancements of course means lesser input for the same or higher level of output, but also it initiates the reuse and recycling practices. Also, with technological improvement, the production process alters the input mix of the materials and fuels which were used. For example, we see more fuel efficient vehicles coming now compared to what they used to be 20 years back. So, better technology brings better fuel efficiency, better use of input materials. Also, international trade, which is a part of globalization, it spreads technologies which enables developing countries to bypass this stage of environmental degradation which earlier the industrialized nations have experienced. Meaning to say that developing economies or developing countries do not have to develop that technology again. Using the technology which has already been developed and used by developed nations or the industrial nations, those technology can be brought in by developing countries and they can bypass the stage of environmental degradation. Another explanation to EKC is the organizational change. As we see, industries are increasingly considering environmental consequences in their production process, their organization and product design. So, what they try to do is that they try to remold their organization and product design in such a way that it harms less of the environment, or the harmful effect of their production processes is reduced to the minimum, or their product designs are such a way that they do not consume the natural resources so much as they were doing earlier. So, these reforms lead to comprehensive gains at the economic level, at the social level, as well as the environmental level. Then deindustrialization. As we have just seen that in EKC there were three stages: pre-industrial economy, industrial economy and service-based economy. Initially, as economic development starts, it leads from shifting farming to agriculture. That is, we move away from agriculture and use our resources in manufacturing. More of industrialization, more of manufacturing leads to higher environmental degradation because it can lead to water pollution, it also leads to land pollution, it also leads to air pollution. However, this happens initially. After, as and as the productivity increasing and rising real incomes increasing, we see a third shift happening from industrial to service sector. So in this particular sector, we will see that environmental degradation reduces, whereas here probably environmental degradation increases. So as we just said, economic growth and developments usually see a growth in the size of government as a share of GDP, and then the government also implements taxes and regulation so that these environmental externalities are taken care of, by which are particularly harming health and the living standards. So that is the role of government regulation. Coming to the last segment of this lecture, we will be now understanding that what are the criticisms of this Kuznets environmental curve or environmental Kuznets curve. The first criticism is the empirical evidence for this kind of EKC is mixed. Many economists say that there is no guarantee that economic growth will see a decline in pollutants. There is no evidence of the EKC in case of global pollutants like CO2, meaning to say it is not seen that those countries which we call as the industrialized nations or we call as the advanced nations, since they have become advanced, they have a very high level of GDP. However, their greenhouse gas emissions or CO2 is still not declining. So there is no evidence of such kind of a global pollutant like CO2 getting decreased when the economic growth increases. Second, it is said that pollution is not simply a function of income. We have talked about that how income elasticity leads people to pay more for better environment conscious goods. But the criticism says that pollution is not simply a function of income. But there are many factors which are having an impact on the environmental quality. For example, the effectiveness of government regulation, that is how far the regulations which the government has adopted for pollution control, for climate change, for environmental degradation, how far they are effective is a question which remains. And this effectiveness, if it is low, it will not lead us to see a decline in environmental degradation. Similarly, the development of economy, population levels, these are all the factors which have an impact on our environment. So it is not only the income which is having an impact on the pollution. Then another criticism with respect to inequality of income, which we call as distributional effects. It is seen that vulnerable population, particularly of low-income communities and marginalized groups, bear a greater burden of environmental harm than those groups which are in the higher income group. Why is it so? Because these people do not have enough resources. One, to educate themselves. Second, to take care of their livelihoods. They generally destroy the resources or natural resources which are available to them. Hence, because there is inequality in the distribution of income, only the higher income group may be willing to pay more for the environmental conscious goods, but people, the low income communities or the marginalized communities, they do not share the pie of the increase in income, and therefore the disproportionate burden of environmental harm falls on them. Next criticism is related to the level of emissions. For example, if EKC would have been valid, the top two economies of the world, US and China, would not have emitted a lot of CO2s. But what do we see? That these countries which have the highest GDPs have also highest levels of CO2 emissions. So, by saying that per capita GDP increase will reduce the environmental degradation is not validated in such cases. Then, very important aspect is, we saw that EKC is something like this, that it starts turning. So, this we say is the income level at which your environmental degradation after this will start improving. But what is this threshold level? What is this level of per capita GDP at which this environmental degradation will start declining? There is no agreement on it. So, since we can, if you have an agreement, it becomes very easy for the economies to have a goalpost that this is the income level. Once we achieve this, we will see an improvement in our environment quality. But since there is no agreement on this level of income, there is no one way of adopting this EKC. Arrow particularly argues that the shape of the EKC may not be inverted U, but it may be an N-shaped curve like this, meaning to say that initially pollution increases when your per capita increases, reaches a threshold and then it falls. But Arrow says that after this point also, we will see that your environmental degradation again starts going up. Why? Because when high level of incomes are achieved, it leads people to have mass consumption. So, according to Arrow, environmental curve may not be an inverted U, rather it may be an N-shaped curve. So, let us revise whatever we have done in today's lecture. Today, we did a very interesting relationship between economic growth and the level of environmental degradation, which we said is explained through what is called as environmental Kuznets curve. This curve basically gives an idea that in long run, economic development reduces per capita the environmental damage. That is, as the income increases, the damage caused by people to the environment also reduces. Why? Because when income increases or the per capita GDP increases, there is sufficient wealth and technology. Hence, countries can adopt cleaner production methods and also the economies move from industrial economies to service-based economies. Inverted U-shaped relationship between economic development and environmental damage we studied, wherein we said that environmental damage per capita increases in the early stage of economic development, reaches a maximum and then it starts diminishing. So, I hope you enjoyed this environmental Kuznets curve lecture. Looking forward to meet you in the subsequent lectures as well. Thank you.